Hi folks, I just want to talk about my concerns I've been having recently about the Bill Gates Foundation. He's been in the newspapers and in the media generally quite a lot recently, talking notoriously about his progress in trying to find an alleged vaccine for the alleged COVID-19 strain of coronavirus. In actual fact, if you look on the internet, you'll find as well that there was something called Event 201. There's uploaded videos, and it's even mentioned on many websites that it was basically a simulation for specifically a coronavirus pandemic, where the participants within that could discuss what to be done, what economic, social, political measures would need to be done in such an outbreak of coronavirus. What are the odds of that? A discussion not just about a pandemic, but specifically a coronavirus pandemic, and a discussion involving Bill Gates and the Gates Foundation happening in November, just weeks before the coronavirus strain outbreak in Wuhan in China. What are the statistical odds, the likelihood of that? Extraordinarily remote, slim to none, I would say. And actually, if you then consider Gates' later role, allegedly in trying to research and provide a vaccine for this alleged COVID-19 strain of coronaviruses, the remotes of that being a coincidence become even more ridiculously slim to none, I would say. It just seems too outlandish to believe, really. Just the idea of that being a pure coincidence, just unbelievable. It makes me question, therefore, why, if you were going to have a discussion about a simulation of a specifically coronavirus pandemic, why would you publish that, make it public? Why would you have websites dedicated to that? And why have uploaded videos that may be at least a censored version, but that reference it at least? Why make it public at all? And that seems the oddity, the anomaly to me in this. Very strange goings on to do that. It's almost like making people aware of something before it's actually happened. There could be a number of reasons, I would speculate, why that might be. It could be that to give a message to some people, to prepare them and to say it's a plandemic and it's a fake pandemic, so that some people at least have got that message, so they might hide factual, real things within a fictionary or alleged fictionary account. And that's quite possible, so that those people that are in the know and are able to read these things and understand coded language, they would be able to communicate to some people. Those people that do not realise, on the other hand, that this type of pretend thing is actually dressed up, a real thing dressed up as pretense. Those people that don't understand that won't know and will just assume, if they find it, it's a coincidence, and they'll probably say, oh well, pandemics have been around for a long time. Of course lots of people have had all sorts of conventions, various discussions about it. Thousands of people have, specifically people like scientists and those in that field that would be concerned about that. That's nothing out of the ordinary. But what is out of the ordinary and can't easily be explained away is that someone would have a convention about specifically a coronavirus pandemic, and just a few months or weeks, in fact, before the actual alleged pandemic occurs. What are the odds of that happening? But I do question, why would you do that? It could be to send a message to some people, those that can read such things, that this is fake, and to other people that many other people won't understand. They either won't research and find that information, or when they do, they'll just think, oh, it is just a coincidence, or those things just happen, conventions, and they won't read that much into it, perhaps. It could well be that people that do these things have got a theology that they feel they give out the actual information of what they are about to do and why they're doing it. They will give you that information. It will be in your face. The research is there for those people that make the effort to look for it. And the theology of why they might do that is they then believe if you are duped by these things is because of your own ignorance, is because you have not made the effort to educate, to look for the research which they've uploaded and made quite self-evidently public and published. If they've gone to those lengths to publish things, so they may well believe, you know, if I've given someone fair enough warning to say this is actually what I'm doing, and you don't heed the warning but you fall for it anyway, then more fool you, in other words. So and I'm not saying that's what it is, that's just another theory, I'm only speculating. So it could well be to send sort of messages out to some people in the know and to exclude others that don't have a way of reading such events and understanding that facts can be disguised as fiction. Perhaps it's not that. The other alternative explanation could be that it's been done to cause, to actually make people to proliferate the conspiracy and the fear about it yet further, I suppose. But why unveil that you're doing a conspiracy? You know, that seems to be, you know, and I think the other theory that sort of could be plausible could be that you alert people in a manner in which they can find out the information if they choose to, if they want to open their minds to looking at it. The information and the research is there for those that take the trouble to find it, but those people that don't, you know, won't get that. So I think it's quite possible that some people have that theology. Like if I advertise my faults, if I advertise something, but then I go and do, you know, something else, and you know what I've advertised already, and you fell for that other thing I did, you know, then the flaw is with you and not with me. Now, I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying that could be their reasoning, and I'm just speculating as to perhaps, but I don't know that. You know, I'd be interested to know what other people's thoughts are. If you look it up, Google search it, you know, Event 201, that's not a conspiracy, that did happen. There's even a whole website dedicated to it on which are all the various videos that show various participants, but they actually refer to themselves, interestingly, as players. That's the term that they use for the participants within the Event 201 conference that took place just before the alleged outbreak in Wuhan in China. So why would you do that? I mean, the two questions I think that arose for me about that is, how can that event not be connected? Statistically, what are the odds that's not connected? Discussions of a simulated coronavirus pandemic just a few weeks before an alleged real pandemic of coronavirus. You know, what are the odds of that? I'm not saying it's statistically impossible, but I'm saying it seems quite implausible. But the second question that naturally leads one on to is, why would you upload and make public that information anyway? So I've come up with two possible theories why that might be. Either to send some people information to prepare them and to warn them, so that they're able to sort of deal with the situation, whilst the large majority who either won't get access to that research or won't interpret it in that way as true, they won't be as prepared and they will believe it's a pandemic. Therefore, that's my theory number one, why it might be that. My theory number two, I think, is that there could be a theology that some people have, that if you give people, even if it's a coded fair warning, then it's down to their fault and responsibility if they're fooled by something that's actually that's fraudulent, because you've given them every opportunity to research and learn that it's not that. Okay, well, there could be, that's just some, you know, my speculation, and I could be totally wrong in that, but what other speculation could be as to what it is? And I'd be really interested to hear what other people's thoughts on that. Event 201, it's certainly a real thing that took place. There's websites dedicated to it. There's YouTube videos uploaded about it. They're not been censored or taken down. Not to say that the event itself might not have been censored. We only know, you know, what PR releases there are about that and what uploaded videos they released from it. There may be other discussions that took place within that. The other interesting thing is why they choose to call themselves players. Always analyse and look at the type of language that people use. That's a very specific and unusual term to use. Like if I'm going to a conference to discuss an important issue, I will normally call the attendees that go to the conference participants. There may be other words similar to that or synonymous with that at least, but players seems quite an unusual term to use within the reference of a conference discussing infectious pandemics. Seems a very unusual, a very strange term to use. Why would you call yourself a player? Well, I guess that they said that it was a simulation that they were doing. Now, whether that simulation actually was limited to within the conference itself, or whether that was actually the start of a widespread, systematic societal simulation that we are living through, and I believe that's quite possible, oddly enough, that it may be that. But it's what you choose to believe in it. But I'm keeping an open mind to all things at the moment. But I think it's sort of worthwhile speculating on that. Whether it is all a big game plan and everyone is just players. You have to sort of look at people's wider ideology in that. And actually, if people have an ideology that all life is a game, we're all playing against each other, one group's playing against another group. We've all got different goals and objectives, what we want to get out of it, rather than looking at life as something that we should cooperate in, that we're all trying to help each other. There's very different ideologies and models for how you might look at life. I tend to look at life as a trial, and we're all undergoing various challenges collectively but individually, and we're all journeying and trying to sort of improve our conduct or not, sometimes, as the case is. Sometimes I'll even use the metaphor as life as a school or something, and we're all students of life perhaps, or life is a trial, So I will employ various metaphors to try and help me to understand what life is in terms of how I relate to other people in life. In terms of a trial, in my ideology, I look at God as the ultimate judge of others, and that we each stand trial, and we can be accused of various treatments, good or bad, how we treat our fellow man. And we can testify against each other and be witness to each other's good and bad behaviours in life. So, that's my kind of ideological understanding, that we can be victims of each other, we can be perpetrators committing offences on each other, or we can be witnesses to each other's actions, good or bad. But I think that's the sort of metaphor that I use. We can help and we can hinder each other. But other people sort of look at life more ideologically like a game, and we're all game playing against each other, I tend not to think that like that, but I often feel that I'm enrolled into a game against my wishes anyway. And I'd rather sort of lose the game if it means playing against someone else and harming them. That's... I don't have no intention. I don't want to sort of profit from harming other people in life. I may be totally wrong in that speculation. However, I would wonder why you would choose to call what would normally be called a participant as a game, as a player. Why would anything like that be described in that manner? And I would think that if you view life as a game, then you would see yourself as a player against other people. Potentially, I might be totally wrong in that speculation though. But it could be that, the playing of the game is sort of limited to the simulation within the conference of Event 201. But, it goes back to that original question, like how much of a coincidence would that be that Event 201 happens just before the pandemic of the coronavirus COVID-19, or the alleged, and that it is also a simulation of a coronavirus itself specifically. And what are the ridiculous odds of that same person involved with that conference also being involved now in allegedly in trying to create vaccines for that alleged viral strain of coronavirus. You know, it beggars belief, really, to believe that. So which leads you right directly onto the question then of why would you make public that event 201? So I've come up with speculation as to why that might be, and I don't know if there's other things that it could be besides that. It certainly wouldn't be an error of judgment. I think everything is consciously done and discussed beforehand in terms of group dynamics. So I would say, what other speculatory reasons could there be? I'd be so interested to hear what other people's thoughts are on that. And if you're not aware of that video, it's not a conspiracy. It does exist. The whole presentation did happen. I think it was November of last year. I'm going to look it up and research more about what was actually said within those things. But I must say it's looking ultra suspicious at the moment. And so I'm keeping an open mind about that. I only provide these things as just kind of speculation, but I'd be really interested to hear any good counterpoints or anyone else that's got any good theories as to what those things could be, actually, why the details were published at all, actually.